Hey guys, what is up? You got Quinera coming at you with a brand new video on Blade and Soul. And today we are tackling what you guys have all been waiting for is the Twilight Forest final boss mechanic guide. And this is for stages 3 and 4. Um, the mechanics for stages 1 and 2 are different. But the core mechanics themselves are more or less the same. But this mechanic guide is mostly just for stages 3 and 4. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and jump right into this. So there are different ways you could start this fight. But today I'm just going to show you how we did it in this run. So we let our tank start the fight. Our tank is also the grab. So you can only, just like in Sanguine Abyss, you can only grab this boss at one time during the before you hit the 90% phase. You may be able to grab it at other points. I'm not 100% sure. But beyond the 90% phase, you can no longer grab the boss. So we're just gonna go ahead and jump right into doing this, so you guys can kind of see what kind of happens here. So the mechanics for this boss are actually quite simple, more simple than people believe, and it's not so complicated. It's fairly easy. So at the start of the fight, as you can see right here, a corrupted tick actually spawns. So when this thing attaches to the boss just like that, Naraka will get a shield, and that gives her it makes you do 80% less damage and 80% damage reduction. And the only way to prevent that from happening until you reach the 90% phase is by CCing this tick. So here, normally I would probably recommend maybe like if you had a buff bard or if your tank can do it, for them to CC this. That way you don't lose. That way you don't proc your gear and stuff. But I just went ahead and did it here. So typically the best time to CC this tick and from what I have seen is to CC it right about here, right when this 3/4 of a pie. That attack you can't is not non-blockable, so you do have to iframe it. That way you don't get knocked back. So here I'm just about, as soon as this 3/4 of a pie finishes, I'm just going to CC it like I did here. Now you can see there's a little yellow shield around the tick, and now the tick is tethered to me. So this tick will stack up to 20 stacks. Once it reaches 20 stacks, the person that CC'd this tick will actually get stunned out. So that's why you kind of want to wait a little bit until the CC until it gets closer for the CC bars to open. So she's just gonna do two circular AOE's. It's gonna be one in and one outer, just like that, or it's one the AOE actually gets larger, which takes up about half of the room. So right after she does this, she is going to open her CC bars here. So you can really just use whichever CCs you want or whatever is best for the party composition. Here we chose to do knockdown because that's what mostly everyone has here. So we're just going to do knockdown, and now our and now at this point you would want your grab or your tank that may also be grabbing to grab the boss once it's been CC'd. That way you can get tons of damage off. At this point we burst it beyond the 90% phase, and before Naraka goes into the 90% phase, she will do this. She'll finish the rotation out, just like so. And as you can see, the tick reached 90 stacks, and at this point, I've been stunned for, I think, 3 seconds. And then what's going to happen, Naraka is actually going to jump up in the air, and then she's going to land back down. and start the phase. And when she jumps, when you see this does need to be iframe. So you could use, in my case, you could use, for me, I use Q or E to iframe this attack. However, you can use your 5-second iframe if you need to, but I don't think that's necessary. That's just gonna do like a enter here. This attack does not, as far as I know, it doesn't knock back or anything. So at this point, you can now see there are more ticks, or paralyzing parasites, as they're called here, that have spawned. You can see exactly where they spawn. They spawn right here. I don't believe that these positions ever change. So in the first phase, and again, I need to reiterate this is for stages 3 and 4. So for the first phase here, all these parasites will be green. So all you need to simply do for these parasites is pick 3 people from the party, preferably not the tank. However, the tank can do these, but I mean, for all the runs I've ever done, typically the tank does not do this. So you just get the other 3 that are in the party to CC these mites. And so all these colors do mean something. As you can see here, I now have a buff. It's counting down 10 seconds. So what you need to do here, once you have CC'd your mite and you've been tethered, as you can see, the tether is coming to me. For green, it means to move. So you have to constantly be moving to stack up this buff, which you got to stack it up to 20 stacks. It's actually a lot like the Serpent's Den raid mechanics. So like green means move, red means don't move, like don't move around, don't walk, or whatever. And the yellow one, it means to find a friend. So you would basically, when you get the yellow one, you would go next to one of your party members and stay near them to get the stacks. So, but in this first phase, it's all green. So we all have to move to get the stacks. As you can see, the stacks are going up. And once this has reached 20 stacks, that you actually lose the tether. And at that point, you no longer have to do the movement. As you can see, I now have the buff. This is not a fully stacked buff, but this is the buff that you need to be able to deal damage to the adds that spawn later on. And we'll as we get closer to the end of this mechanic, I'll explain more about it. But this has got a 30-second countdown. So obviously, you need to keep this buff refreshed. So as all this is going on, the boss is doing her rotation. She actually will not move from the center. She is locked there. She cannot move from the center, but she will still do her basic rotation attacks. So keep in mind that those are happening, and you know, take care of yourself and try not to get screwed over, because with so much going on, I know it's easy for you to really get screwed up and then start failing mechanics. So at this point, my buff is counting down. I will say that you actually don't really need to block all the orbs. So for you to get the enhanced buff of the color that you have, you actually got to block 5 orbs. For this first set of orbs that are coming out, you do not need to block all 5 to get the enhanced buff right away. In fact, I don't believe you have to actually block any orbs for this first part. For the first set that comes out, you actually may have enough time to wait until the second set. Excuse me. So at this point, I believe the CC only happens during this first 90% phase. So after the orbs have came out, the boss, Naraka, which you will actually open her CC bars here. So typically you will want to be ready for that. So as you can see here in just a moment, after she finishes the attack, now she's going to open up her CC bars. Failing to hit the CC will not wipe the party. However, it will knock everyone back and it will do a lot of damage. So yeah, and here you want to try to make sure that you're hitting your CCs as much as possible. That way you can get off as much damage as possible. And I guess if your group had enough breaker, you could actually break the boss there and do the CC. That way you could get a lot more damage out at that point. But our group didn't have like a whole ton of breaker, and some of us didn't have our tab skills coming back up in time, our burst skills to come back up in time to be able to even follow up with that. So now. Ayanka is going to do her normal basic rotations, and now there's more orbs that's going to be coming out at this point. So with my buff being at 12 seconds, I would probably say with the first set of orbs, you only need to block like one orb to keep it refreshed, and then you can just wait until the second phase. So now now that the second part of the first phase, that's what's happening now, is the second part of the first phase. The second set of orbs is now coming out. You may notice that there are some orbs that look a little bit different than others, and it's mostly just this one. This one that's got this purple aura glowing around it. So here's what's so special about that one. If you happen to block this orb, the one with the aura, the purplish aura around it, you will actually get a mutated buff. The mutated buff, it's actually like a multicolor. It has all the colors on there. And what this allows you to do, if you have this buff, even if you have a, let's say, green buff or red buff or yellow, that doesn't really matter. Let's say that you already have one of those buffs. It doesn't really matter. If you happen to get this, if you happen to block this orb, it will give you a mutated buff, and you could actually change colors at that point. You could change to yellow or to red or whatever the color is. It doesn't really matter. That's what this blocking this one will allow you to do, and it will give you the enhanced version of that color, which is max stacks. As you can see, I just now blocked another orb. I now have 3 stacks, but once you hit 5, you get the enhanced buff. So after the second set of orbs come out, Naraka will actually throw the mite, or throw a mite or an egg or whatever at the corner of the room. As you can see, we'll watch it here. As you can see, she threw it at the corrupted tick over here, and what's going to spawn at that corrupted tick is the first ad, and obviously with the colors being all green, the first ad is green, and the second and the third ad will be green. So with there being 3 ticks, there will be 3 ads, by the way. I forgot to mention that at the beginning, at the start of the phase. But at the start of the phase, when you have the 3 mites coming around the room and you need to CC them, that is how many ads will be during this phase. And then that stays the same throughout all the phases and any higher stages. So all we have to simply do is just come over here and kill this ad. And again, I need to reiterate, the only way you can attack these ads is if you have the colored buff. You do not need the enhanced buff to kill them or to deal damage. However, if you do not have a colored buff, or if you do not have a buff at all, either way, if you attempt to attack one of these ads, you'll get stunned out, and on a higher stages, you will most likely be dead due to the mechanics and the attacks and stuff like that. So do not attack one of these ads unless you have that colored buff for that ad. So this one obviously has a green shield, which means you need the green buff. So as you can see now, I actually got the mutated buff. This is the multicolored one that I was talking about. And you can actually get this, there are 2 ways to actually get this buff. The first one, as I mentioned before, was blocking one of those special one of those special orbs that has the purple aura. Blocking one of those will give you this buff. And after you kill one of these ads, you will also obtain this buff. And of course, as I said, what that allows you to do is block any colored orb and get the enhanced version of that buff. You could even do it here in the first phase, as I did with the green one, and now I have the enhanced green buff. And we'll talk a little bit more. We'll talk here later here really soon about why you need the enhanced buff. So, of course, the boss is going to do her same rotation. This is all the same. Nothing ever really changes. So here she is. As you saw, Ayaka jumped up and she threw whatever at this tick, and now the ad is going to spawn there. Also, you can see this purple AoE here. So this purple AoE, there's a bunch of them that will actually come out from Naraka. She'll actually throw them. Whom she's actually throwing them at is the tank. Those are directed at the tank. So what we did in these runs here, we had the tank facing in the opposite direction, because if you get hit by one of those, and unless you have the special immunity insignia, if you get hit by one of those, you actually lose all your stacks for your colored buff. From my experience, I haven't fully ever lost the buff. You just go down to one stack, which means you now need to either block block 5 more to get the, or block 4 or 5 more to get the enhanced shield back, or sorry, the enhanced buff back, or you need to block one of those mutated orbs that has the purple aura, and then go and block that colored orb to get the enhanced color, to get the enhanced buff back. So now the second ad is spawn, of course. This one is green also, so we'll just come over here, and as you've noticed, if you've been paying attention, you actually noticed the second ad actually has more HP, and this is a recurring theme throughout these phases in this dungeon. Is that the first ad is kind of weak. The second ad gets a little bit more buff, and the third ad gets a lot more buff. So as you can see here, as long as when you kill the ad and you're standing inside this dome, you actually get the multicolored buff every time. So yeah, that way you can switch colors if need be. And here in a few moments, and also this purple attack is faced at the furthest person away from Naraka, which was either me or the bard, I can't remember. But either way, this 3-hit trident purple thing attack that is faced at the furthest person away from Naraka. So now Naraka, she is going to she's about to spawn the last ad. As you can see, here's that purple AoE again. These purple AoEs that's getting thrown out, these are all faced at the tank. So you would want to make sure that your tank is facing them away from the party. That way when you're going to run over to kill these ads, that way you do not get stunned out and lose your buff. So now I'm going to jump right over here, and now we're going to take down this last ad. As you can see, the last ad actually had 11 billion HP. This one has 17 billion. So it takes a little bit more firepower to bring it down. Some classes, if you're sustained DPS, it wouldn't be too hard, but if you're like a more of a bursty type of class, it might be a little bit more difficult. Like Gunner, third spec Gunner may not have a great time at trying to kill one of those, unless they pop their Q. At this point, as you can see, and again, like I said, if you're standing inside this dome when the ad dies, you will actually get the mutated buff. At this point, you need to, at this point in the fight, now we're coming to the end of the first phase, or the end of the phase. So for stages 3 and 4, the first set of ads is green, and the shield that Naraka gets is actually going to be green. So at the end of the phase, she's actually going to get a shield, as you can see right here. It's got 99 stacks. So in order to deplete this shield down to 0, you need to have the enhanced buff, the enhanced color buff of the shield. And if you do not have that, you cannot reduce the stacks on this shield. So it's very important for everyone to get to have this enhanced buff. Everyone in the whole party, including the tank, to have this enhanced color buff for this shield. Otherwise, you're going to have a really hard time depleting the shield. You're going to wipe, and everyone's going to die. So yeah, any mechanics that are failed, like at the end of this phase, if we fail to deplete the shield down to 0, it's a wipe. So I'm just going to SS backwards, and I'm going to start, we're starting to attack. As you can see, we're already down to 44 stacks. Our hit rate is actually pretty good here. And now we have depleted the shield. So now Naraka, she's going to open up her CC bars. And at this point, you would want to break and then CC her and do some massive damage like we do here. And then also if you have a gunslinger or an archer, you can extend the breaker here and get off quite a bit of damage. As for archer, I'm playing third spec, so it's a little bit more difficult for me to time my burst with that breaker and stuff there. For gunner, that's a lot easier to do, but yeah. So now that we have depleted the shield and we did the knockdown, and I will say if you fail to do the KDs, you have to get 4 KDs off right here. If you fail to do that, it will wipe. So there are four CCs that need to be done here. You can do stun or whatever it is. You need 4 of them. So whichever is easiest for the party. We chose to do knockdown. So if you fail to even do, if you fail it at all, it's a wipe. Okay, it's just a straight up wipe. On stages 3 and above, the whole party's just dead. So make sure that you're landing the CCs, and after you have CC'd her, I'm just going to replay it back for you so we can all just see again. CC bar is open, we knock her down, then break, extend the breaker to make it longer. So now, it says Naraka is temporarily weakened by the resistance reaction, and what she's going to do is do a 5-hit attack. At this point, either use your 5-second iframe, or if you have a party iframe, use that, like Hong Moon Block, stealth, or anything like that. Make sure you use it here. That way you, because if you don't block this, you'll get, or don't iframe it, you will get knocked back and take a lot of damage. So now what Naraka's going to do, she's actually going to jump up, and she's going to, this last attack here is actually going to be a knockback, so you need to use your iframe or use your 5-second iframe. Whatever you have to do to avoid this attack, otherwise it knocks you back, you'll take some damage. So now, into the second phase. This is for stages 3 and above. Just want to keep reiterating that the way you guys know. So as you can see, the colors have actually changed now. I'm just gonna, whoops, just trying to go back here, sorry. Just so I can get everything, so I can just keep you guys into the loop on all of this. Come on. So she's spawning the ticks or the toxic seeds. So as you can see, now things are a little bit different. There are 2 green and 1 red. So what does this mean? So the shield that she has is actually still going to be green. However, there is a red might now, and that means there will be a red add. So what we do here is kind of up to the party what you guys would like to do. For the red one, what red means you don't move. So once you see this, CC this, you need to not move until you fully stack this at 20 stacks. This might be a little bit easier for classes that don't need to move a whole lot, that can just stay stationary in one spot. It's a lot easier for people that can just easily just stay. Since I'm a range DPS, I find it's, in my opinion, it was much easier for me to do this. But also on this stage is stage 4. So there will be 2 green ads that spawn first. There'll be a green ad, then a green ad, and the last ad is actually going to be red. Obviously, the last ad you have to kill in a specific amount of time. If you don't kill it in a specific amount of time, it's actually going to be a party wipe. So I just want to iterate that last ad, if you can't kill it, it's going to be a party wipe. And there are different strategies to killing these ads. You don't have to kill them in order as they spawn. What you can do is you can actually, the first one that spawns, since it's weaker, you could actually just leave it alive until the last one. In this case, like for the red one, that's going to be last. You could keep the first green one alive, kill the second green one, and then for the red, for the last one, the red one, you can actually get 2 people on that one to make killing it faster. And those 2 people, when they get the mutated buff, they can actually swap to green to get the enhanced buff. And then someone can go kill that first ad since it has such little HP. You could even have someone make it a little bit weaker. That way, it could make it a really easy kill. That way you can quickly have everyone on green to be able to deplete the shield for the end of the mechanic. But anyway, so what I am doing here is I'm actually going to solo the last ad, because I actually have enough DPS with my ultimate to be able to kill it quick enough without anyone else needing to help. So that can also make a little bit things easier too if you have someone that has enough DPS to kill it. So now, as you can see, just to reiterate, red, once you CC the red mite, you need to stay put where you are until it reaches 20 stacks as much as you can. Don't move around. So now, as you can see, we have we have a different colored orb coming out. It's now red. And I will reiterate this, the one with a special aura, no matter what color the orb is, typically, since the tank typically does not CC one of the 3 mites, there's only 3, so we just give it for the 3 other people, but besides the tank, typically what you would want to do here is have your tank block one of these mutated orbs, or leave it for the tank. That way the tank can block it, and they can get the green buff, or the yellow, or the red, or whatever it is that it's needed for the party. So here the tank is just going to take that red mutant. Okay, he didn't take that red mutated buff, but in any case, the tank could take that one and then block a green orb and get a green enhanced buff. And as all this stuff is going on, the second set of orbs that come out, they actually rotate into different places. Now you can see the red ones are on the other side of the room here. So at this point, I'm just refreshing the red buff, and the 2 other party members, the Bard and the Warden, are taking care of the ads, the 2 green ads. So in the second phase here, it's since it's green, green, red, the ads that spawn in order are going to be green, and then there'll be a second green, and then the last one will be red here for the second phase. As you can see now, the colored orbs, that's what I have moved to the other sides when they're spawning out. So you just want to keep your buff refreshed as much as possible. That way you can do what you need to do. And again, I'll reiterate, these ads that are spawned, you can see the 2 green ones. You can only attack those if you have a green buff, and it does not need to be the enhanced version of the buff. So you do not have to have 5 stacks of the green buff to be able to attack them and deal damage. You just need to have the green buff, period. So now the orbs have switched sides again. Here I am going to block an orb. I'm keeping my buff refreshed. I got my red buff. So now the red ad has spawned. This is the final ad that needs to be killed so that we can finish the phase. So here I am. I'm just using my tab buff to deal damage to the ad here. As you can see, I'm doing quite a bit. I do quite a bit of damage with my tab. It's just enough to get it killed in time. So now what I'm doing is I'm walking into the dome. That way I can get my multicolor buff. Okay. So we're at the end of the phase. The last ad is dead. So now what's going to happen? The boss is going to get her shield, and the shield is green. So for stages 3 through 4, the shield on the boss will be green, and in the second phase it is green. So the first 2 phases are green. You have all green ads in the beginning, in the first phase, and the 90% phase, and then in the second phase you have green, green, red. The shield is still green though. But the last ad will be red. So now that I have my multicolored buff here, what I'm going to do is just SS closer to the boss, and I'm just going to block one of these orbs. You don't have to do what I did in SS there. I could have easily just blocked one of these right over here, but this is what I decided to do is SS out. And now, as you can see, I blocked a green orb, and now I have the green enhanced buff. And you have to have the enhanced buff to deplete the shield on her. I can't reiterate that enough, that you have to have the enhanced buff. It will, like this, for green. It'll for red. Obviously this is what it looks like for green. It'll be green. But if the shield is red and you need red, this buff would obviously need to be red before you could help deplete the shield. Preferably you'd want the whole party to have the buff. That way you can quickly get rid of the shield, because if you can't, it's a wipe. So at this point, where the team is just depleting the shield is now gone. Now Raka is going to open up her CC bars. And you have to get 4 CCs. If you do not hit 4 CCs here, it is going to be a total wipe. So we got it, and then we broke her. We did the breaker. The way we can do extra damage, and I extended it also. So now, again, after that end phase, she does a 5-hit attack that we see here. She's doing a 5-hit attack. Either use your 5-second iframe, or if you have a party buff, let your party member block this attack for you. And right at the end of this, Naraka, when she enters her next phase, she's actually going to jump right to the middle and do another knockback attack. Make sure you iframe this attack, or you will get knocked backwards. Also, one other very important thing I will note, guys, is that when the orbs are coming out from the corners of the room, do not stand just right in front of the orbs. The orbs, if you happen to get knocked over and the orbs start running over you, you will take a lot of damage. It will probably kill you. So please do not just stand in front of the orbs. They will do a ton of damage to you. So now we are on to the third phase of Naraka. So now, as you can see, things are very different. There's no more green orbs. It's now red, red, yellow. So the shield for the third phase will actually be red. The first 2 ads that spawn will be red. The last ad will be yellow. So, in other words, before I continue, actually, so red, obviously, if you have the red if you CC the red mite, you have to stay put. Don't move. Wait for it to hit 20 sacks. If you have the green one, you have to move around to get the stacks. So you got to get it to 20 stacks. So you just keep moving around until you lose the tether. That's the same thing for red. You just stay put, wait until it hits 20 stacks, then you'll lose the tether on the mite. And then for yellow, for the yellow mite, yellow means you need to find a friend. So you need to go stand next to someone. As you can see, I'm actually just standing next to the bard. You can't see them because I have them hidden. But as you can see, the buff is actually stacking up right over here, and I've got 10 stacks. So what you do is you stand near them, you can move around, but you just need to be near them. And you have this little circle AoE. So that's the area that that person needs to be in to be able to stack this, to help you stack it. So as you can see, we just now hit 20 stacks. I've lost a tether. I now have the yellow buff. And this is just 1 stack. You need 5 stacks to get the enhanced buff. Just so you guys remember. And also during these phases, at the first beginning of each of these phases, Naraka will actually open her CC bars. So you can CC her here. But this phase is the same as the very first phase in terms of core mechanics. I'm talking about the core mechanic here, guys. So this is actually the same as the second phase. It's actually more closely related to the second phase. It's just different colors. The only difference is that in this last phase here, the shield will actually be red because there is no green mites or anything. So it's not like the first and second phase with the shield being green. The shield will actually be red. Will be red here because there's 2 red mites. Means two ads. The shield will be red. But it's more or less the same as the second phase. Instead of having the 2 green, you have 2 red. And instead of having the 1 red, you have now a yellow. The last ad will be yellow. So, as you can clearly see, I mean, the core mechanics themselves are basically the same. There's just a difference of colors, and there's just different things that you have to do to stack up the mites. There's different things that you have to do. If it's red, you don't move. If it's yellow, find a friend. Stay near that friend. If it's green, move around. It's very simple mechanics, guys. It's actually not that hard. And like I said, this purple attack here, this is actually faced towards the tank. So if you guys have any tanks or whatever, then you need to tell them to face it the other direction. Because if you get hit by this, you will lose the buff. And they need to restack or whatever. And I'm actually about to lose my buff here, I do believe, because I forgot to block orbs, but I didn't bother because we were never going to make it to the end of this third phase here. But the phases, as I said, the core part of the phases are the same. They're not any different in terms of the very core of what needs to be done. Um, so hopefully this guide has helped some of you out. Sorry if I've been kind of all over the place. I've been I'm just and I don't really make guides or anything that often, but I feel like this one was really needed. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down below. I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you guys so much for the support on the videos lately. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content like this. If you would like to see more content like this, let me know down below. I'll definitely try to do better in the future about coming out with mechanic guides and stuff like that, because I know the community needs something, because some people learn better with a guide like this than versus a text guide. I personally learn better from maybe a guide like this instead of a text guide. And I also learn better hands-on. And I guess a video like this will definitely help you have that better connection, to learn the mechanics. So hopefully you guys have learned something. Hopefully I've been able to explain some stuff. I can't really explain too much for the tank, as I don't play the tank, but for the mites that spawn, just remember there are 3 of them. Typically you would want your three other people besides the tank to CC those mites. The tank, in order for them to get a buff, the only thing that they would have to do is block one of those orbs that have the purple aura to get the mutated buff. But at that point, they only have the mutated buff. So they need to block another colored orb to get the enhanced version of that color. Whether it's red or yellow or green or whatever is needed for the party to be able to kill the ads and deal with that and be able to deplete the shields. Whatever's needed. That's just how we did it here, and that's how we've done it in most of the runs I've ever done. But yeah, hopefully that answers all your questions. If you have any more questions, just leave them down below. Thank you guys, and peace out.